Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Maps and Graps. As always, I'm your host, Lyric Swinton. So excited to be here. I feel like it's been a while, even though it's only been like a week since I last did this. There's been so much stuff going on, obviously, with the launch of the new show that I'm co hosting alongside Lo from Wrestling Wind Down over on bodyslam.net. We're doing a Dynamite, AEW Dynamite post show. It's called The Dynamite Book. So that's every Wednesday. And so also been doing a lot of interviews and a lot of other cool stuff. So super exciting. Really happy to be back on the air this week. I decided, you know what, just going to streamline it and we're just going to talk about New Japan this week. And we're going to talk about Power Struggle because a lot happened. And I'm super stoked for Wrestle Kingdom. It's not just because I'm going there. Well, a lot of it is because I'm going to be there per se. But um, yeah, so let's just go ahead and get into the card. Not going to go through everything, just the parts that were interesting. So we started off actually with a few matches. There was a pre-show 6-man match. Bolton Oleg, Taguchi, the DKC versus Mokizuki Jr., Strong Machine J, and Yoshiki Kato. So Bolton Oleg, Taguchi, and DKC got the win there. Super short. Didn't really have high stakes. That was just a pre-show match. The United Empire had a match with Cal Newman and Jeff Cobb defeating Oscar Loib and Yuto Nakashima. I actually have a lot of. This match was really short. It was under 5 minutes, but I will say that I have a lot of high hopes for Nakashima. I think that now that a precedent has been set that people can go on excursion over to like places like Noah, I think that Nakashima should go on an excursion to Noah. And I think that he should be under Manabu Soya or Masa Kitamiya, really learn how to utilize his size because I will say, like, New Japan, I'm not sure they have exactly the guys who can really help him. Obviously, like you have some guys who are like strong, like Ishii and stuff, but I think like Nakashima could probably benefit from a Noah run. So I do think that that could be really good for him. But this match, was really quick, and then there was another really quick sprint of a four-way tag team match. I was expecting this to go much longer than it did, but it was a lot of the losing teams coming off of Super Junior Tag League. We had El Desperado and Master Wato defeating the War Dogs, which was Clark Connors and Joe Maloney, and TMDK, Kosei Fujita and Robbie Eagles, and Musashi and Yo. If I'm not mistaken, I think Fujita took the pin here. So this match was super short, much shorter than I thought it was going to be, but it did what it needed to do. And so, I am all about it. Moving on, we had the Intergalactic Jet Setters, Kevin Knight and Kushida and Tama Tonga versus Lij and Bushi, Shingo, and Titan. And so actually Lij loses this match, and afterwards, as you can see, Tama Tonga hands over the belt over to Shingo after the match. Obviously, Tama Tonga was defeated by Shingo at the last New Japan Strong show to win the Never Openweight championship. And so maybe this is the match for Wrestle Kingdom. I really hope not. I'm gonna be honest. Like, nothing against Tama Tonga, but we've seen him compete for the Never Openweight Championship all year, whether it's between David Finlay or Shingo Takagi. Like, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready. I think like Shingo is really like trying to do a run and face these new challengers, and I want that for him. And so I really just want to continue on this reign of Shingo. I just want him to just keep moving forward, and I feel like you can run the rematch. I feel like, that's a great Korakuen Hall match, like, or just like how do I say it, like on just a house show match, like running on one of the house shows. However, I don't think that this should be the match for Wrestle Kingdom. I just don't feel that way. And also, the never open weight belt is falling apart. I tweeted about this, and then guess what? The very next day, Shingo Takagi posted this picture of the belt. It's literally falling apart. This belt, as well as the never open weight 6-man belts, they're extremely outdated. And so I hope that this is a wake up call to update these belts. You know, with Wrestle Kingdom, you're already introducing a new belt. We're going to get to that later. But this is the perfect time to update these belts. You know, like I will say, belt wise, none of these belts in New Japan match right now. Like you have this new IWGP Heavyweight Championship, this butterfly belt. Then you have like the junior heavyweight belt was still in this old style. You have the never belts that are extremely outdated. You have the IWGP tag and junior tag belts that are still that classic style. Like you have this beautiful IWGP women's belt that is a nod to the old IWGP heavyweight belt. Like it's a very mismatched, like aesthetically, like the physical titles are all very mismatched. So I hope that we use Wrestle Kingdom 18 as an opportunity to possibly really make these more uniform going forward. I don't know. Moving forward, we had a tag match with Tetsuya Naito and Yota Tsuji versus Sanada and Yuya Uemura. I had said that this is going to be a match that establishes where Yuya is on the pecking order of a lot of the recent Young Lion graduates, specifically those who were in his dojo class, such as Yota Tsuji, Shota Umino, and Ren Narita. You know what? Listen, but Naito and Yota Tsuji pulled up on bullshit. Like the fact that these men, they were like, yeah, we just here. Yota Tsuji wore a full football jersey, did not take it off once. Of course, Naito did not take off his shirt. He said, they basically said, we're not taking these shirts off till the dome. We don't really see this as a real competition. And obviously, they won the match. Yota Tsuji really did manhandle Yuya, and he hit one of the nastiest spears I've ever seen. That Gene Blast is nothing to play with, and so you know, hey, I'm not going to say it's over for Yuya because he just got back. There's plenty of time, but I need to see more. I need to see more, and I think we're going to see more. It's clear that there's a lot of history between those two. Like I think there's a built-in rivalry, obviously with Shota and Ren, and then now where there's this built-in rivalry with Yota Tsuji and Yuya Uemura. So, you know, hey. But the Gene Blast came out on top. If you haven't seen that spear, I recommend going and seeing a clip on Twitter because, yeah. I will be honest, David Finlay versus Tonga Loa was after this. That match wasn't worth even putting up a picture of. It wasn't. Very, very, very not good. But you know, I'm going to get to David Finlay later in this. Somebody said this better be a David Finlay appreciation audience. It is not. It's not. It's not. Have New Japan announced tag teams for New Japan, the World Tag League? No, they have not. I expect that announcement to probably drop tomorrow during Lonestar Shootout, which we'll talk about. Moving on, we had after that the terrible David Finlay Tonga Loa match. We had, oh man, it was an Osaka classic. Jon Moxley making his return to the ring after obviously the concussion that he had suffered about a little over a month ago. He has this match versus Great O'Connor. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't have high hopes for this. I did not have high hopes for this match at all. When I love Jon Moxley and I love Jon Moxley in Japan above all, but when I heard that his opponent was Great O'Connor, I and a lot of people were just like, man, like, why this match isn't going to be that great. But they started off, went into this match, and immediately it's a double count out within like 1 minute because they're just fighting everywhere and getting right to it. And then John Moxley gets the microphone and is like, "Nah, like fuck this. Let's restart this." And I want to talk about. He says, "I want falls count everywhere right now." First of all, I didn't even know they really do that over in Japan. Like I haven't seen many, if any, falls count anywhere matches. So he just calls it, and then they never really get back in the ring. And they literally fight everywhere. And then Mike starts bleeding. And so everybody knows once he starts bleeding, the match would really get started. This was just a fight. It was so much fun. It was like one of my favorite brawls of the year. Like this was just, I mean, just a brawl. Like Mox is always unhinged, but he gets to be a special level of unhinged in Japan. And like if you follow me on Twitter, you see, I've been like exploring a lot of his influences lately. So, I the other night, the night before last, I actually went and built out my YouTube watch later list of Atsushi Onita matches. So exploding cage matches, exploding barbed wire death matches, exploding ring matches. I watched him up against Hayabusa, Tenru, and Terry Funk. And so just seeing and even watching like his Tokyo Dome entrances, seeing like how he modeled himself in Japan, I can see why a guy like John Moxley took so much inspiration from him. And so like being able to watch him, at Power Struggle, that's what really, inspired me to do that because it's just this essence and aura. Mox always has aura, but like in Japan, he just turns to like a complete rock star. And like that Osaka crowd was rocking. Like it was excellent. Like it reminds you of like the pre-pandemic New Japan crowds, which is absolutely awesome. Great Khan did pretty well in this match. Mox pulls out scissors out of nowhere, takes the guard off the scissors and cuts off this man's braid. It was just a bloodbath up and down. Like just seeing all the people have to like get out of the way, hurry up and like run out of the way. But they're also trying to like record things and take pictures at the same time. Like Mox is just cool, dude. Like, and also I feel really bad for the people who like the event staff who have to set up those chairs because, bro, they fucked up the entire floor plan of that building. But it was awesome. 10 out of 10. I loved it. Like I said, one of my favorite brawls of the year. Moving on, next up, we had the Never Openweight 6-man titles were defended by the current champions in Tomohiro Ishii, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Kazuchika Okada up against TMDK, Zack Sabre Jr., and Mikey Nichols. This match was great. Out of all the matches in Power Struggle, I would say this is probably my third favorite and one that I recommend going back and rewatching for sure. It was really good. I have just been so pleased with the quality of this reign. This Never Openweight 6-man championship reign has been absolutely excellent. In my opinion, it's one of the most exciting titles in professional wrestling. It has been one of the most just unpredictable titles in professional wrestling. And this time last year, these titles were essentially meaningless. And so I think that that's a huge credit to these guys who are typically these outstanding singles performers and still are becoming these multi-man specialists and having some of the best matches on the card and just against a variety of opponents. The defenses that they've had so far, they won the titles up against Strong Style, El Desperado, Minoru Suzuki, and Miranda Rita. Then they defended the titles at Dominion up against Blackpool Combat Club, which was Claudio, John Moxley, and Shota Umino, which is one of the best trios matches of the year, in my opinion. Then they had, on a random house show, they had this excellent 6-man match against the old heads, as I like to call them, Hiroshi Tenzan, Tiger Mask, and Togi Makabe. And then they had an excellent match. And also, they didn't defend on one of these nights. It wasn't a defense because I think they swapped out Tanahashi for Rocky Romero, Okada, and Ishii. up against Blackpool Combat Club at Resurgence, which was another amazing six-man match. But going on to their defenses at Destruction and Ryogoku, they had a great defense against Motor City Machine Guns and Josh Alexander, and then most recently, obviously, against TMDK. So this reign has been awesome. And I said this yesterday because it was Okada's birthday, I've really enjoyed seeing him specifically move into this role of not being like the focal point of New Japan right now as a singles guy, but still adding value. This is the first championship he's ever won outside of the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. And this run has just been I think it's been so fruitful. And putting the title on these three guys has been a great call, especially Tanahashi can't move the way that he used to, but this has been a really great role for him. And then also Ishii is just solid at everything that he does. And so I have just really, really, really enjoyed this reign. And 9 times out of 10, the titles won't, if they hold on to them, they won't be defended at Wrestle Kingdom. But I think it'll be a great call to possibly defend them at New Year's Dash the next day. And so super exciting. Obviously, something happened after the match, but we're going to get to that. But moving on, we had the Super Junior Tag League finals. We had Catch 2-2, TJP and Francesco Akira versus House of Torture, which was Sho and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Listen, I am a House of Torture hater. I don't try to hide it. They're like one of the only people I hate openly. And so I'm going to be honest. I probably wasn't as locked into this match as I probably should have been. I was just ready for it to be over. And I was ready for the right people to win. And the right people did win. Catch 2-2. Catch 2-2 has been absolutely amazing. They have been the focal points of rebuilding this junior heavyweight tag division. And you can just see the impact that they've had. You have a veteran in TJP and you have this shining star up-and-comer in Francesco Akira. They work so well together, and they've just been an amazing addition to both the United Empire as well as the New Japan Junior Tag Division. And so I've just been such a fan of theirs. After they didn't get to celebrate for long because going back to, it was a great callback to the Best of Super Junior finals when Dan Maloney and Clark Connors, really snuck them from behind and attacked them. And so obviously Clark Connors and Dan Maloney attacked them again from behind. And they officially set the match up for Wrestle Kingdom because obviously they are the Super Junior Tag winners versus the current champions. And so these four have had this rivalry going on for most of the second half of the year. And I'm going to be honest, they haven't missed yet. And so I think that the actual match will be really good at Wrestle Kingdom. I just hope that they find a way to put some of the other junior heavyweight teams on the card, such as the Jet Setters, as well as some of the other standouts. I would love to see, maybe have Leo Rush make a return, team up with Yo, bringing him back into the fold. I would just love to see something like that. But as for the actual IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Title match, I'm not mad at it. I think these two teams always deliver, and they really haven't had a bad match. Moving on, we had the big IWGP Junior Heavyweight title match happen, which was Hiromu Takahashi versus Taiji Ishimori. This is Taiji Ishimori. It wasn't his first match back, but this is his first huge title shot back since his return from injury after, I think it was a nerve injury that he suffered during Best of the Super Juniors this year. He came out in this all-white gear. He looked incredible. I love that gear. I just love that look. That all-white camo look was absolutely excellent. This was nowhere near the best match on the card, but it was still a good match. You can still see that, Ishimori is still trying to find his footing post-injury, but all things considered, he looks great. And he's only going to continue to get better. And I would like to see him, I would like to see him maybe in some type of, like I said, junior heavyweight showcase during um, the Wrestle Kingdom, because he's an awesome talent and he continues to impress. And so I am always impressed with his work. Um, but afterwards, obviously, Hiromu had to choose his challenger. Well, he decided to choose his challenger for Wrestle Kingdom, and he called out El Desperado, who was on commentary for this match. And listen, I don't care what people say. I am a lover of this rivalry. These two have defined each other for the last few years, and I think that it's them facing each other at Wrestle Kingdom. I'm never going to be down on it, especially now that they're in front of a live crowd. And so El Desperado accepted the challenge, and he said that he is having surgery, but he should be back in time for Wrestle Kingdom. So hoping that his recovery is speedy and goes well. I think that this is going to be a great match moving forward. This was one of the best matches I've ever seen, and I know I've said that numerous times with Will Ospreay matches, and it's always true. It's always true. We had Shota Umino versus Will Ospreay for the IWGP UK/US Heavyweight Championship. This match was just beautiful. It went about 40 minutes. The storytelling was just amazing. With Shota had being led to the belt originally because having to face John Moxley when Mox originally came into Japan, and being his young boy essentially, and having to carry around the belt for him. And so that means a lot to him. But also Shota went on excursion to Rev Pro, and really learning British wrestling, being in Ospreay's orbit. And so the UK side matters to him. And so he feels like he had to win those belts. And also the pressure of being labeled now as one of the 3 Reiwa Musketeers who is supposed to carry New Japan into the future. All of that you have to think in their previous. He's never beaten Ospreay, and then you also have to think about the fact is one of their matches was actually stopped by the referee, aka his father, and his first match back, big title match back, coming back from excursion, was last year as historic crossover versus versus Will Ospreay for the championship, and he lost once again. And so there's a lot at stake here, and Shota had to prove himself. And even though he didn't win this match, and even though I felt like he should have, this match was beautiful, and I feel like it made him a star. And having Mox there was perfect. Cheer him when he came out to cheer him on, and then having Red Shoes as the referee here was perfect. It was just perfect. And you have Red Shoes clearly wanting him to give up, and Mox is telling him to keep going. So he has his 2 dads going off, and it just kept getting more brutal. We saw that rugged, that actual roughneck side that he talks about finally come out of him, and it was just beautiful. And it was just beautiful pro wrestling violence. It was violent, it was emotional, it was everything. And then Ospreay and Shota holding hands afterwards the match, that sign of respect was just gorgeous to see, and them showing respect and bowing to each other. It was just awesome. This is what pro wrestling is all about, and it's definitely in my top 10 matches of this year. I'm gonna have to sit down and really think about it. Maybe top 5, who knows? But I was so pleased by this. Next, local man ruins everything. Obviously, Shota said if he won, he was going to challenge Mox, but obviously he didn't win. So, then Ospreay and Mox have a face-off. Obviously, last year they had a great match at Windy City Riot, but the finish was Ospreay kicked out, but it wasn't counted. Yada yada yada. So they have some unfinished business, and so obviously I would have liked, in this order, I would have liked Shota versus Mox at Wrestle Kingdom, then Will Ospreay versus Mox if we didn't get that. But instead, local man ruins everything. We have David Finlay come out of nowhere, and now he's pushing his way into it. We're going to get a triple threat at Wrestle Kingdom. And this man decided to destroy both titles with a hammer after stinking up the place in his match earlier. Probably one of the worst matches on the card, but who cares about that, right? I feel like this is the last chance to possibly get him over, and New Japan is throwing it in at us, because if these two guys can't get him over, he just can't get over. So there's that. And so we're getting a triple threat, and the New Japan has announced they're going to make a new title, so probably some variation of the Intercontinental Championship will come back. So this is the card so far for Wrestle Kingdom. We have Hiromu Takahashi versus El Desperado for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. We have the IWGP Junior Tag Team Championships will be contended with the current champs, Connors and Maloney versus TJP and Francesco Akira. Catch you too. We have the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, Sanada facing the winner of the G1 Climax Tournament, Tetsuya Naito. And we have the IWGP, well, actually, it's going to be a new belt, so we don't even know what it's going to be called yet, but some variation of the U.S. Heavyweight / Intercontinental title. It's going to be a three-way. Will Ospreay versus Jon Moxley versus David Finlay. And this will likely, Ospreay might drop the title, his contract status is up in the air. It's likely he's going to sign somewhere in America. But most importantly, this is my main event. I think this is like the equivalent of Ospreay Omega at this year's Wrestle Kingdom. And then even though Okada Jay White was the heavyweight championship match, Okada versus Danielson. This is going to be amazing. I'm just so excited because I was there for the first one. And so being there for the second one, I was there in Toronto, and so being there in the Tokyo Dome is going to be absolutely insane. I just smile every time I think about it because it's going to be incredible. Bryan Danielson is hopefully going to be, I truly believe come hell or high water, even if he has to wrestle in a mask, like he's going to be ready, just knowing how insane he is. He's already had surgery apparently for his orbital bone that was broken, and so that's good news. And listen, like I said, Big Kazu, he done let y'all get y'all shine this year. Like really take a step back, really try. But when he pop out at Wrestle Kingdom, it's over with. So he's been reposting some of his old Rainmaker jackets, the real flossy stuff, and so maybe that'll make a return. I don't know. Hopefully, New Japan can get the rights to Final Countdown because it's Danielson in the Dome. You don't know whenever this might happen again. So I feel like you got to do it big, or maybe AEW can lend them the money. I don't know how this works, but that's cool. But that's where we are for Wrestle Kingdom right now. That's going to be January 4th in the Tokyo Dome. But we still have a lot going on tomorrow. So Friday, November 10th will be Lonestar Shootout in Dallas, Texas. It's a New Japan Strong show. And so this is a loaded card. Starting from the bottom, we have Atlanta's Tiger Mask, Mascara Dorada versus Ultimo Guerrero, Rocky Romero, and Hechishiro, I think that's his name. And then we have Tamatanga, Kushida, and Kevin Knight versus Chase Owens, Gabe Kidd, Alex Coughlin, and Clark Connors. So essentially Intergalactic Jet Setters and Guerrillas of Destiny versus Bullet Club. We have Fred Rosser versus Tom Lawler, two of my faves. We have Shingo Takagi versus Trent Beretta for the Never Openweight Championship. We have Zack Sabre Jr. versus Speedball Mike Bailey for the New Japan World TV Championship. We have a special tag team match, Jon Moxley and Wheeler Yuta, the Blackpool Combat Club versus David Finlay and Kenta for the it's not for anything, but obviously this is a preview tag for Wrestle Kingdom. And David Finlay and Kenta representing Bullet Club. We have obviously, and Bobby said it, we have Eddie Kingston versus Satoshi Kojima for the Strong Openweight Championship. I'm so excited for this. I'm such a Satoshi Kojima stan, in addition to a Eddie Kingston stan, by the way. But his year this year has been incredible. He's just doing side quests. I love him so much. More bread, more Kojima. Lastly, we have for the IWGP Women's Championship, for the first time, Mayu Iwatani will be defending this championship in the U.S. This is only her second time defending the championship at all. No comment. But against Stephanie Becker from CMLL. So on this card, we have inclusion from CMLL, we have New Japan, we have Impact, and we have AEW talent all on this card, and Stardom. So Well, that's about 5 different promotions. So well done. I'm gonna be honest. The last show in Vegas was a little. That was the weakest strong show by far, but this card they're definitely getting back to that brilliance that we saw with like Battle of the Valley and Resurgence and the Independence Day shows. So I'm super excited. Um, but that's really all for me. Like I said, I just wanted to briefly run through Power Struggle and talk about the current how it's looking for Wrestle Kingdom. There's some really exciting stuff in the works. I'm super excited to share that with you all very, very soon. But I can't give you a sneak peek. There's going to be an interview dropping tomorrow between myself and Hyan. And there's going to be another big special interview that's going to come really, really soon. Can't wait to tell you who it is. Want to give a big shout out to one of the first big interviews that was ever on this podcast, which was Mariah May, who last night became all elite. Really wanted to say congratulations to her. I'm so excited for her career in AEW. I know she's going to kill it. But until next time, you can always keep updated on what's coming from me at Lyric Wrestling on Twitter and Instagram, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Lyric Swinton, where all of these interviews, all of my media coverage, and all of my podcast work, everything maps and grabs and chats and grabs are available there. So until next time, everybody, thank you for tuning in and listening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.